Hello, welcome to Tableau Server demo session. I come with 10 plus years of experience into the business intelligence and with Tableau as a whole, around 7 plus years of experience, both into Tableau development, Tableau Server administration, and even into the Tableau architecture. So as part of the Tableau Server training program, this is the course curriculum. For the first few sessions, we'll be talking about the Tableau products, right? The Tableau various products, followed by the readiness and the prerequisites that we need before you proceed to install. And just to kind of get you the glimpse, we have a single node architecture already ready for the current training program which we're going on. So if you can look into this one. So we already installed on the machine. The Tableau Server Training program involves the most of things are hands-on experience, right? You will be given access to the machine where you will practice our day-to-day activities as part of the training program. So here you can see already the system is up and running. This one we call it as the configurations for the Tableau Services Manager that you have with the various processes over here. And if these individual processes, okay, what is the status of this? And this one, it's all about your administration. So today you want to add some users, like you should click on add users, and then you start adding the users. And then do you want any of the groups? We don't have yet as of now because we just started with the new batch. And then if for any of the background the jobs, how do we have all these things. So we'll be discussing about in detail of each and every step, which is being outlined as part of the course curriculum. For the first few sessions, we'll also discuss in terms of the prerequisite, the technical specification, as well as the complete architecture. Just an overview of an architecture. So we'll be using the local authentication because as we do not have the Active Directory mechanism. But the flow, how does the flow looks like? Assume that I am the end user, and then I try to access a report on my web browser. You simply go to your Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox or IE, and then you put the dashboard URL. How does the mechanism works? So for example, I'm the client, and then you put that URL into on the browser, and then you hit enter. The first request goes to your gateway. Gateway is the one where the request and the response. It will handle the user request. The gateway will forward that request to your application server. So we'll be discussing in detail about what are the different processes or the services that Tableau has, and how does all of these work together to complete the job. Here, for instance, how does it work? So the gateway will send the request to your application server, and then the application server will forward that request to your repository to verify if that user is there or not. And then the repository will verify the username exists, and it will also gather your additional, the permissions for your, for you to view that report. Can you only view the report, or can I go ahead and interact with that report? So these permissions it will check, and it will send the response back to your application server. So right now what we are looking is how does an authentication mechanism works in the Active Directory. So once the application server receives the response from the repository, the application server will register this positive response, and then it will forward the request back to your gateway. This gateway receives the request, and it will forward back to your Active Directory controller. Actual authentication is being done by your Active Directory, right? Because Active Directory will store you have your username and passwords here. So this will verify the password and passes the response back to your gateway. Then the gateway receives the request and this passes the response back to your application server. Now it will register the positive response, and it will start generating that user interface where you will be able to view the dashboard. So this application server will start rendering the dashboard, and it will also forward the request back to gateway, and then the gateway internally forward the request back to the client, and the client will be able to view the visualization. This is basically an internal process. How does it looks like? So when you have this pictorial, the representation, the understanding will be much easier. That's one of the reasons why we have this detailed level of steps is also been outlined here, right? We'll be discussing that in detail. So if I go back to the course curriculum again, so it's going to be a single node installation. So we'll be discussing in depth in terms of the configurations, in terms of the topology setting, the business terminology that's been used in the Tableau server, and we'll also talk about a different kind of authentication mechanisms. Though we might not be able to have a hands-on experience with multiple authentication mechanisms, we will be using the local authentication mechanism, but we'll be talking about other authentication mechanisms, and how do we, if you have an opportunity to combine them, or so what is the compatibility metrics. We'll be discussing that in detail in terms of your confusions. From here, in terms of the user experience and authorization, this is all related to your actual Tableau administration. So we'll be talking about different kinds of the user roles. What are the different users can I have in, like, for example, if I go ahead and check the site role, he is a site administrator basically, or he is the server administrator who have access to anything and everything within the box because he is a server admin. You also have other roles, you can see it here, the creator, explorer, can publish, explorer, viewer, and license. So we'll be discussing about different user roles and what are the capabilities, right? How does the permissions as well as this user site role will work together to get the job done in detail about all of this. So there we talk about, the user management, the groups management, the content management. When you go to Explorer, you will see the different kind of the projects within your site. The site basically means a folder structure or your workspace, your application specific workspace. We call it as a site level. And if you can always go ahead and create a new project if you want to. So this is all talks about sales project. This is my team called sales. I'll go ahead and create the sales project. And then I would ask my developer to go ahead and publish all the sales related content to this particular folder. And then you can have even the nested folders also. This is like a site level content management. We'll be discussing in detail of all this. And we'll be discussing even at a minimal level of the Tableau desktop also, because you need a Tableau desktop while publishing the content, right, from your Tableau desktop to your Tableau server. So Tableau server basically it's for your collaboration. You cannot ask your end users to install, the Tableau desktop or a Tableau reader tool. Basically, the end users, all they need is a simple URL of the dashboard where they should be able to view the reports. So this is the Tableau desktop. So this is also we'll be using. So you go to server and then you say we already signed into the server. How do I publish? Say, for example, I'm trying to publish the workbook. Sample example. This is how a developer go ahead and based on this access. So right now, the one that we created, the sales project, right? I'm choosing the sales project, and then I'm going to say simple name sales report. Just say sales dashboard, and then I'll say go ahead and publish. This is one way, simple way. How do you publish the content from your Tableau desktop to your Tableau server? So once the content published, successfully, you will see, the browser will start loading on its own, and it will give you a prompt saying that the content has been successfully published. While this is loading, I can always go back to my page, right? I don't have to wait there. I can go back to sales. And you will see right now it's showing as workbook 0. The moment this will get published, you will see workbook 1. Or I can simply go ahead and refresh it. Okay, once the content updates, you will select workbook 1 and you will start, and then the end user starting. Now you can see it's already been published. If I go back to this one, you can see it's already started loading it. Right? Sales dashboard, you can see the publishing complete, the workbook, what's the workbook name, sales dashboard. And then you also have the preview layer. I'll just close this. Either I can open from here or just navigate to same project, sales project. I have one workbook which I just published. So the work will be in this symbol being identified like this. You can see when this is being modified. It's been today. Just open the sales dashboard. So we'll be talking about what is the sheet level and the dashboard in when we are doing publishing the content. So this is just a sample sheet, but the discussion is more on how do you publish from your Tableau desktop to your Tableau server. And once you publish, now I need to to manage the content, right? Now I may have different groups, and I may have to provide access to different groups. I may have to deny an access to different groups. Okay, what are the permission level settings I may be having, right? Those things we'll be discussing in detail, as well as we'll be going through the practical session, right? We'll take the multiple user accounts. See, right now this is the dashboard. It doesn't have any filters because I haven't enabled anything. But if you look at the sales dashboard permissions, just an example, right? You can see for all the users, it's a group. They can view, they can filter, they can do everything. If you wanted to add a new group, how do you add a new group? And then I don't want a specific group to be able to download my dashboard, right? I don't want to delete them. Then how do I set those permissions? So we'll be discussing that in detail as part of the content management. So that comes in here in terms of authorization, in terms of the permission tools and capabilities, the groups, everything. And the disposed content is taken directly from the Tableau official website itself, right? And this is being arranged such a way that it's not just for newbies or for intermediate. It is being, even if you have any prior experience or if you have interest to learn Tableau Server Training program. This is like a fresh start for even for freshers, it's for intermediate and even who has already been working for the last couple of months. But if they wanted to have a detailed understanding and more hands-on practice, they should be able to leverage this training program. Then the next part is talks about in terms of your data refreshes, right? You may be having a lot of data. How do we schedule them? How do we refresh them? And then the subscriptions you want. Let's say, I have a group of my managers. They need this report every Monday morning, 9 a.m. How do I subscribe my users to that, right? Those things we'll be talking about that. And then your data and IT data refreshes. And as it's a server program, we'll be discussing more in terms of high availability concepts. Also, how do you take backup? How do you restore data? And then how do you take the logs? How do you work with the, your Tableau support? So this was talks about all those things. And even we'll also talk about in terms of upgrade, right? Preparing for your upgrade. Also, as part of the training program, we will upgrade this entire server to a newer version. And then we'll also talk about in terms of the logs, right? Okay, where are my logs have been stored? How do I look for logs in terms of the troubleshooting? As I said, the most of my experience comes directly from the industry, so we'll be discussing in detail. That's one of the reasons why we have put together this part. This was not there actually on the Tableau side, but this is being put together so we can have a quick troubleshooting steps. If this happens, that's what needs to be done. Something like that in terms of, okay, during your Tableau server installation fails, okay, what are the things that I can at least at high level I can look. Okay, whenever my authentication is here, okay, whenever your user says, hey, I cannot access a report or I cannot view this particular dashboard, okay, what do I need to look for? And some of the prerequisites for is you need to install the database drivers. If you don't install the database drivers on the box, right, where your Tableau server has been installed, then your users will not be able to connect to the data sources. So anything associated those troubleshooting steps in terms of the backup issues, right? And in terms of restore issues, it could relate to your disk space, right? How much amount of disk space I may need, and even to keep my overall system up and running, what is my minimum system requirement, and how much CPU, RAM I should be having for a production platform, and anything related to the log also. So this is, I can say, complete, the server training program has been put together. The overall training program would be around 25 to 30 hours. From day 2 or day 3, we will be logging into the machine and you will be provided an access to this machine. And we should be able to start the practicing what as per the course training program. Okay, so we will also, I'm sure, so once we complete this course training program, this will give you strong knowledge in terms of the overall Tableau server. So this will help you for your certification also. The certification questions are quite tricky, but the foundation for every topic we will be discussing in detail. We'll also discuss at high level some of the certification dumps that you might be having specific to the top. So this will help for your certification and the overall in the practical organization wise the activities that we perform day-to-day basis on the Tableau server. Prerequisites for this training program. So any prior administration work, it doesn't have to be specific to a tool, but even a prior system administration of your Windows, some understanding of the users, groups, the permissions, setup, something like that. Anything on those lines would be an added advantage. If you have already prior experience on any of the BI tools, it could be even the development or it could be related to your administration. Anything, right? Any of the BI tools. Just to mention, maybe it could be your SAP Business Object or maybe Cognos or maybe OBI, whatever that tool is, or maybe in terms of Informatica or any other tools. And if you have an opportunity where you wanted to leverage yourself into the Tableau server administration, so this training program will definitely help. Okay, for any questions and for other future things, you can always contact. Thank you so much.